Okay, so we are in our third living book for the Living Library of Active Hope, and we have Bernardette Castillo from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. We had the two beautiful conversations yesterday with Hector Aristizabal from Colombia and David Diamond from Canada. We recorded that and we'll release that in short parts and the longer parts in our living library. This time, yeah, it's exciting to. Bernadette and I met through social presence in theater. We both trained together with Arawana Ayashi and the President Institute in Berlin over a whole year with the advanced group, 2018-19. We then talked again several times. We actually created a course of art coaching. Actually, today I spoke with Ruth Cross. You remember she also took the art coaching training we organized, which was born as a prototype with the SBT, and then it was a great experience and learning of how to apply SBT in some coaching setting, and then. When I sent this call for the Living Library, Bernadette was one of the people who responded and brought this book. So the idea with the Living Library that we're all books that they have spoken, but this is also about a real book and about a woman that maybe you don't know about. Maybe Bernadette, you can introduce yourself and the book.
Okay. I love the idea of this something is alive, because for me, Matilda, that is the book of Matilda, is very alive. I live in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, but I travel a lot. As Yuri said, we met in Berlin doing the advanced training in social presence theater. And I was doing professional training in Switzerland some years ago. It is training related to human biography. We work with human biography. I am a counselor using human biography. It's like coach, but using your own biography. And at that moment, one of the tasks that you have to have this international certificate is to choose one person that is already dead. So it should not be possible to do this with a live person. So you need to choose someone, you pick up whatever you want, and study very deeply the biography of that person. And first of all, I decided to study Einstein because I'm a physicist from my graduation. But many ways, I came to Matilda. And who is Matilda? Matilda is a countess, an Italian countess from the 11th century. She is born in the 11th century. And she's a very special woman, but very few persons know about her. And what brings me to study her, I know her life in a fiction way, because there is a book that's a fiction about Matilda. And I say, whoa, it's a crazy, that woman doesn't exist. But at the end of the book, the author said that she is in Vatican. Her body is in the Basilica of St. Peter. And I say, wow. And I decide to go to Rome to visit it. And when I see the statue of Matilda there, I say, well, I need to study this woman because she's a very powerful woman. So here you have me and some friends in the Basilica, and he is the statue of Matilda there, and she was the body of Matilda was brought to that place 500 years after her death. And the Pope that was building the Basilica of St. Peter, the Vatican that you know now, that was in the 17th century, he says that she was a pillar of the Roman Christianity. So it's why she was so important. And it was that I decided, okay, I need to study this about this woman. Yeah. So my adventure begins.
Yeah, and well, I like this moment of kind of seeing the statue and kind of discovering and knowing that this is the person that you're supposed to explore. And yeah, I wonder how was this journey, and what has been the discoveries, or what was revealed to you, what surprised you or excited you.
Yeah, one thing that is very interesting is that she was very important. If you ask the persons in charge in Basilica de San Pedro about Matilda, they know where she is, but there is no book about Matilda at all at Vatican. So when I go out of the Basilica, there is a lot of libraries there, a lot of bookshops there, and I go to every place and ask, do you have a book of Matilda de Canossa? No. You have a book? No, no, no. And one place says, yes, I have, but I'm not sure that you want this book. And I say, why? Because this is a book written in Latin, in Italian. I don't read Italian, neither Italian, Latin. But it was a book written by a monkey at the time of Matilda. So, like she asked this monkey to write her life, the life of her family. So it's very interesting because we have this kind of autobiography, because some people say that there is not Donizoni that wrote the book, but was Matilda. One of things very important at that time, Matilda can read and write and speak Italian, Latin, French, and German. And we are talking about a woman in the 11th century that there is no right to study, and she can write, study in 4 languages. Yeah. So some people say that she wrote the book about herself, not Donizoni, but she needs someone to sign. So perhaps it's the monkey Donizoni that has signed, and she has wrote the book.
Yeah, so it's a monk that writes it, and then she dictates, or she even wrote it herself. And
yes,
and,
yes.
and did you but it's in Italian, in Latin. Were you able to translate it, or?
The book was 1 page in Latin, 1 page in Italian. So I try to read in Italian, and sometimes I use Latin because Latin and Portuguese can help us. So I try to do this, but it was very difficult. And then I go to Canossa because the most important part of the life of Matilda is in Canossa. There is a region in Reggio Emilia in the north of Italy, and near Modena, Mantova. And there in Canossa, there is the ruins of the castle of Canossa, and it's very important for her life. And there I can find some books in English. And also there is a very, very special book written by Michelle Spike, that is a lawyer, that she studied Matilda lives very deeply. So she has the biography of Matilda, that she stayed, I think, more than 1 year in Italy studying the life. She has access to the Vatican Library to have access to the letters that Matilda and the Pope Gregory exchanged. So she is able to do this deep research. So my research is based on Michelle Spike's book, because she has this, how I say, capacity to go deeper in the studies. And why Michelle decided to study Matilda? Because at the time of Matilda, the civil code was German, was Salic civil code. And this code, the human has no rights at all. So the human has no right to study, to choose who to marry, and even to receive heritage. So this was a very difficult situation. If you are a woman alone, it was the case of Matilda and her mother after the death of her father and her son or her brother. So Matilda and the mother stay alone, and as they are a woman, they cannot heritage from the father of Matilda. So the king of Germany was the relative closer to them. So he takes all the belongs of the north of Italy, and Matilda fights him all time because of this, because she wants to have the power of that area. And when she finally wins the king of Germany, he gave up and goes back to Germany and let her in that area north of Italy. She bring back the Roman civil code, because the Roman civil code that was in the beginning of the centuries, the woman has the same rights of men. So if you now have rights, equal rights with men in many, many countries based on the Roman civil code, you need to thank Matilda of this, because she bring this code alive, and she used this code in the north of Italy, and then this code begins to be used in other countries and other areas of Italy. So the human has the same right. And it's why the reason Michelle decided to study her, because it's very important to have this Roman civil code back in the 11th century. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and I wonder what, in this process, what did you learn about her, but what did you learn about yourself, or what did
Yeah, it's interesting because I say that I not choose Matilda. Matilda chose me, yeah, to talk about her biography, and also I can see different relations, because, for example, a friend, a very good friend, many years ago. Now I think that's 30 years ago, 25 or 30 years ago, give me this magnet that you put in the refrigerators with there is something writing, and she gave me the one that she bought to me in New York, and it's about a philosopher from the 19th century. It's Thoreau, and in some ways Thoreau is very close to Emerson. And Emerson relates to Rudolf Steiner and relates to anthroposophy, is a reincarnation of Matilda. So I say that in some way, these people was around me for decades before I know about her. So it is interesting, and the ideas of Thoreau and ideas of Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson. It is relate what I think about the freedom and about to people are equal and human rights, something like this, a little against capitalism, how it is today. So I think that is these connections.
Mm. Yeah, and you wrote, I was just looking at the cover of the book, the countess who sought freedom, equality, and fraternity in the 11th century.
Yeah.
So, and again, of course, and I'm thinking, and she's holding, it's interesting, she wears this red cloak and holding an apple and I don't know what it is, a book or a
No,
scroll.
it's not an apple. It is a pomegranate.
Pomegranate, okay. And on the
Yeah.
other hand, the black thing?
The black is the Bible.
The Bible, okay.
Yeah, because this picture doesn't exist. In reality, is inspired in a statue from Matilda in the Canossa castle. There is a statue of Matilda, and I inspired and I mixed some things. But the statue, she's holding a pomegranate and she's holding the book, the Bible. The pomegranate is something related to the to be not obedient, but to be to work for the church, for the Christianity. So she was very, very religious. And so she studied the Bible, the saints, but at the same time, she was a warrior. She knows how to ride a horse and to use weapons. So it's very interesting because she has been developing many different ways for a woman at that time. Yeah. And why she has these things related to freedom, to equality, and fraternity. And the freedom is related to one thing that she does. She asked the Pope, I think Urban II, to liberate Jerusalem. So she helped with money and men. She doesn't go the first crusade, but she sent 5,000 men in the first crusade. So the idea is to liberate Jerusalem. And with this, the knowledge that was there came to Europe in a way that you have the Gothic churches, you have this kind of knowledge that came with the Templarios. And equality because of the civil code, that is equality of everyone, and fraternity because of the end of her life. Matilda begins to liberate the cities and the men that work with her, fight with her, to pay the feudal feudal taxes. So she begins to finish with the feudalism. I don't know if feudalism in English, but this.
Okay, yeah, and I wonder about this metaphor of seeds, the seeds, the sowing the seed and the fruit and the seeds, and we are in this time of the end of the year, and usually in Imagine Action we're mapping this what we harvest from the year and what we seed, with the seeds that are underground, you know, that yeah. I wonder also for you, what did you harvest from making this book, for writing it, and what are the seeds that come from you from this?
Yeah. One thing that when I began to study Matilda, everybody that I know from Italy, I ask about, you know Matilda, what you know about Matilda? And very few people know Matilda history. And one friend said to me, she lives in is Teresa, she lives in Rome, and she said, I don't know, but I will ask some friends that are from anthroposophy or from history about Matilda. And one person told her that I should look at the books related to reincarnation in Rudolf Steiner archive. I don't know who knows Rudolf Steiner. Rudolf Steiner is a person that brings anthroposophy, and it's the founder of the anthroposophy movement in the world. And he mentioned about reincarnation, and Matilda and her mother is the examples that he brings related to reincarnations. And for me, it's something like, and I understand the reincarnations that Matilda has done by doing this research. And for me, it's something like to go deeper in these things related to incarnation, and not reincarnation alone, but the connections that you have in the past lives that you decide to go to the next life, and then. So some commitments that we do. So this is one thing that for me begins to pay attention on this, on reincarnation. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe you can tell us more. When we started, you said that you're doing these journeys with groups, and that you're doing also one with the Maria in
Yeah.
France, and maybe that's also somehow I feel like this also these stories about women, maybe a little bit hidden,
Yeah.
in the importance that they have to sort of bring another narrative.
Yeah, I began to do these travels with groups using 12 senses. That also is a concept of anthroposophy. And we began doing this in 2017. And at the beginning, we don't have this kind of, we only use the 12 sense, but after time we begin to make connections between one traveling and another, and we begin to understand that we are doing like a movement to know more about the human history, because the first one was in Provence in South France. The second one has been in Germany, in that area of Bavaria. And then we have gone to Italy. And after that, we have gone to Egypt. So it's kind of a movement to visit the history of the humanity. And sometimes we begin to have another groups related to trying to understand the movements like Maria Madalena in the south of France, and Templarios in Portugal, and Matilda, who have already done traveling, visiting the places Matilda lived in Italy. And this is a movement to not only to travel, but to travel, make connections, and to understand what this brings to you, and what you can do next. So it's a movement of, it's like a seeds, because when you're traveling and you are able to not only to travel like this, but traveling with paying attentions, going deep in some places, making connections, there is some seeds that came to you in your heart, and with time this can develop or not. Yeah. So I think that is the movement. And these groups that you have, there is some groups that stay together. So there are some people that traveling the same people travel together. So we are now like a big family.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, I find it really interesting to hear somehow how the biography and the history becomes alive somehow through the travel, through the inquiry, through the writing, through the images,
Yeah, yeah.
and then the incarnation, as you say. I took some drawing, some scribing. I will share it afterwards, maybe
Uh-huh.
with the recording. But yeah, yeah, thank you. Like I think, um, one thing I feel that is emerging from this living library is how, yeah, there is a sort of um, a need for us uh, to tell stories, to hear stories in order to make sense of of everything somehow,
Mm-hmm.
and how this act of telling those stories and reflecting about what we do, what we work, is a way to weave also relationship. So maybe that's also interesting, like the experience of traveling, which is something that we have done with Imagine Action. I've done like these learning journeys, and the deep experience of somehow traveling together. Mostly we did it with working with communities or doing some artistic, as theater exploration. But yeah, I feel like also the land itself, like being in the place, meeting the history, meeting becomes something that is really life giving. And maybe just to connect with the theme of active hope, maybe there is a sort of another theme that emerged from the conversation with David was like you don't know the impact that your work is having. You only know much later,
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
and also maybe Matilda didn't know the impact that
Yeah,
she will be doing, and so on. And you or me, we don't know what is the impact of in a way there is a necessary to trust and kind of do
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that one thing that's important is to feel the flow, and sometimes you don't know where to go, and you go and see what happened. For example, this year we have gone to Croatia, and we decided to go to Croatia before because Croatia is so beautiful nature, and so the group asked to go to Croatia, and I say, okay, we go to Croatia. But I decide to go first with my husband to explore more. And when I arrived there and I say, wow, the Templars pass here, I didn't think about the Templars in Croatia. In reality, I thought that the Templars go to Rome, and from Rome they cross the Adriatical Sea. No, they go from that area, so they don't cross the Adriatic. They goes around from north of Italy, they goes to Croatia. So Zagreb, the city, the capital of Croatia, is created by the Templars when they are passing through there. And that all that area of Croatia was very important in the Templars' time. And Matilda was from that Templar. And I say, wow, somehow Matilda is connected with that area of Croatia, and from that they cross to north of Greece, and then they go to Istanbul, and then they cross to go to now Israel at time. It's not. So it is interesting because if I had not been in Croatia, I was continuing to think about they cross the Adriatic. No, they are walking through around the Adriatic Sea. And it is interesting because you begin to make connections with some things. Also, for example, I love Greece, but not every part of Greece. I love that area close to Thessaloniki. It's something like I've been there before, so it's not all Greece, but that area that you can see the Thessaloniki area, the area from the Alexander the Great. So it is interesting. You begin to think, perhaps I live here another life. Yeah. Yeah. So it is, pay attention to this because, for example, I don't feel that I belong to Egyptian time. I don't feel that I belong from old time. No, there is no place, no connections, but that area in the Thessaloniki area, I make connections. I make connections with Alexander, and Aristotle was the teacher of Alexander. So I make connections with Aristotle, and what can give me, I don't know, but I studied this.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. And it's beautiful to hear. I've been in Saloniki. It's very special place. We did some. There was a festival we worked in Saloniki. Play, perform, learn, grow, and we visited there. And yeah, I think that there is a lot of like a crossing path, in life passes, places, classes. So yeah, I'm really glad that you came to the Living Library and brought a book, and a story, and a living book. The book that we walk through the world, and then the world speaks to us, and then we speak to the world, and yeah, I hope people listening could also be inspired to sort of explore, Matilda or some other thing that is calling their attention, or some other land that is calling their attention to sort of journey with.
Yeah, and also to share with others. I think that is interesting also to share the knowledges. And even though you say, what is this? I don't know. But as you said, you can inspire someone. I don't know.
You never know. You never know the impact that you can have on people,
even
with small things.
Yeah, Matilda is my second book. My first book was related to St. James Way, Camino de Santiago, and was very interesting because I decided to write the book. It was like I was make experience writing before writing Matilda. So I write this book of Camino de Santiago. I write this book in 10 days, and I publish, and I discovered some friends calling me, I want to do the Camino. You can help me to do the Camino? And I say, okay. So it's like a secret wishes that people has, but they think they are not able, and they see someone like me doing the Camino, and they say, wow, I can do also. Yes, it is interesting, very interesting. And both books are published at Amazon, so we can have this in ebook. The book of the Camino is only in Portuguese, but Matilda is in English. So
Great, great. I'll add this links you send me, and people can get the books and maybe contact you. They want to
Yeah,
travel somewhere,
yeah,
and
yeah.
or also yeah. I hope we can get back also to the art coaching. Maybe we can offer it in the future again.
Yes,
I think
yes.
it was a great experience, and maybe we can offer it in the future with Imagine Action again, and
Mm-hmm.
have people also um, expand and want to take it forward. Thank you so much, Bernadette. It's
Thank
been really
you,
lovely.
Rudy. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, and have a great New Year, holidays,
Yeah,
and Christmas.
thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Social art. Social regenerate our collective responsibility.
Regeneration.
Regeneration.
Universal right.
Regeneration.
Right. Right.
Right. That's
Imagination.
human nature.